Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
IVM Likes is an IVM production, and if you enjoy this show, you should also check out the Fan Garage Fantasy Cricket Edition. New episodes are available every day at 11 a.m. live on Facebook, and they cover every IPL match and help you pick your best 11. Check it out. Hello and welcome to another episode of IVM Likes. Again, I'm in the room with Abbas, our producer.
Hi guys.
And Josh, who's a producer of Made in India and Seen Unseen.
Hey. That's enthusiasm for you.
Yes, guys, it's Wednesday evening. I get it. Alright, so today we're going to go around the room, discuss our pop culture recommendations, and after that we're going to get into a little bit of a conversation about what's a Bollywood movie you recommend to your foreigner friends who just want to get a taste of Bollywood. Think about it while we go around this room discussing our recommendations for today.
Sure.
So Josh, you're going to start with a book recommendation, right?
Yes.
Let's go.
So the book I'm going to recommend today is called The Burning Forest by Nandini Sundar. So I heard about this book when someone on my Facebook feed had shared a review of it. And then last year in December, there was an article about Nandini Sundar being arrested for the murder of a tribal guy in Chhattisgarh.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So she is basically, she's a professor of, I think, sociology, something like that, at the Delhi School of Economics, at DU. And so she's written this book basically about the whole Maoist issue in Chhattisgarh, in Bastar. So the subtitle of the book is called India's War in Bastar. So the book is, I haven't finished it. I'm halfway through, but it is such a, if you've ever wondered about the insurgencies that are in the country, because there are like quite a few.
So many. And
how the government sort of treats these things, and particularly the Maoist insurgency, because that issue has been there for so long, and really, like my previous knowledge of it was very much limited. It was just in pockets and not
we
really...
didn't learn that much about them in school either. Like very, very little, and almost all of it, at least in my school, was painted in a, these are not cool people. Like, it's almost criminal.
So this Nandini Sundar, she's like done comprehensive research on this. She's got government documents, interviewed numbers of peoples, numbers of tribals also, and you really get a clear picture of, or really a vivid picture of what the life is like there. You know, how the tribals there are sort of caught between the government and the Maoists, and how like within their villages people will be on each side. And particularly they cover because in 2007, 2006 there was this Salva Judum movement that started,
right,
which was basically it was a anti-Maoist movement that started by this guy Mahendra Karma, who's since been killed. But it became like, initially when it started, it sort of built up steam, and then kind of, because it was a lot of businessmen who were trying to they were trying to fight off the Maoists. But what happened after that was the government sponsored the whole movement.
Okay.
So there were these what are called SPOs, special police officers. Like normal citizens could like, if you were anti-Maoist, you could be an SPO. You know.
Oh, right.
So it was like state-sponsored counterinsurgency. And so the book is just, if you really want to get a picture of what this issue is about, how polarizing it is as an issue as well.
Is it a very thick book, or no, I'm just generally...
It is a fairly thick book. It's published by Juggernaut.
Okay.
But which is a Delhi-based publisher.
Yeah.
And
they have an app that you can read on the app.
Yeah. They're pretty cool. But this book is just amazing. So if anybody ever wants to get an idea of this issue, they should read this book. It's called The Burning Forest by Nandini Sundar.
I just have one question. So let's say, as someone who has, let's say, no idea about what sides are or what the situation is, would someone who's a complete
so was a level of complexity to get into this?
To get into the book, would someone who doesn't know any background,
for someone who knows absolutely nothing, they can read this book. You don't have to have
prior
too
knowledge.
much of context to understand what the book is trying to portray, or what to understand the issue really.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. All right.
Yep.
Abbas, your turn to recommend a movie.
That's right. I'm going to be recommending a movie which came out in 2015. The movie is called Deathgasm.
Does not sound nerdy at all. Totally sounds cool.
I'm gonna try my best to explain in a gist what the movie is.
Should we take guesses on what this genre is? Deathgasm.
Sure. What do you think it's about?
I'm assuming some kind of sexual zombie thriller.
Close. Josh, what do you think it's about?
Yeah, I would say it's a porn horror or something.
Now you've just gone too far.
Yeah, you guys, we cannot recommend porn on this show.
No, this is
I know it's pop culture, and it's really, I completely understand the part of it.
This
but
is definitely not porn. Though it is a horror movie.
Okay.
It's a comedy horror movie. It was made in New Zealand.
Of course. Of course. No doubt it was made in New Zealand.
So, in a gist, the film is about a young guy who is called Brody. Now, Brody is right at the beginning of the movie, we come to know that his father has passed away, because of which his mom has had to be taken to a mental institution because she's had such a traumatic experience.
Right.
So Brody has to go live with his uncle and aunt. All right. Now, Brody is your typical introvert, shy boy who doesn't mingle very easily with people. He's being bullied at school. But he's also a very hardcore heavy metal fan. Right? But he's living with his uncle and aunt who are devoutly Catholic. So they are very against his kind of music.
Yeah, I mean, hardcore metal is Satan's music.
Exactly. Oh, you just described the synopsis of the movie in like one line, but I'll still go on with my synopsis. So he's a hardcore heavy metal fan, and one day he makes a friend at school called Zach. All right. Now Zach, Brody, and two other guys, they form a heavy metal band called Deathgasm. Okay, they form this death metal band.
How old are these kids?
16, 17
So
year old.
definitely never had an orgasm, I'm assuming. To name
Well,
a death metal band.
that is delved into in the movie.
All right.
Yes. So for the first like half an hour, 45 minutes of the movie, you have these really funny instances where, so if either of you have seen like a death metal music video or things like that, they have face paint, they're wearing clothes with bullets in them, with thorns and stuff, right? So, but then you have these kids are trying to make this band work, so they're going in forests to shoot the video. Now, when you see the video, they seem in real life, if you see these death metal videos, they seem really gruesome and brutal and stuff. But then it's stuff like where to place the camera, or should we stand like this to look more brutal. Those instances before they shoot the music video, like, so the first 40 minutes.
Does this angle make me look more Satanist?
Exactly. And then there's this one particular image from the movie which has kind of gone viral and has become a meme. It's Brody's character eating an ice cream with the death metal face paint on. So it's stuff like that. But then the twist comes when these guys realize that they're basically living in a small town, and there's this has-been heavy metal star from the 80s who also lives a very segregated life. So they go to meet him once. They find him passed out on a couch, and he's holding a old-time vinyl heavy metal record while he's sleeping. They steal the record, and they find a very cryptic sheet of music.
They steal it from his sleeping hands?
Yes.
Yikes.
What happens, I don't want to spoil what happens. It's a
Okay.
very, very interesting thing that happens. But when Brody takes the vinyl record home, he finds out that there's a very cryptic sheet of music on there, and they play that sheet of music, and it literally summons the devil. They play
got it.
music, and it literally summons the devil, and the only way to send the devil back to the dimension he came from is if they play the song backwards.
Correct.
Alright?
Correct.
Which is the flip on all these conspiracy theories that if you
Led
play
Say a song
Black
backwards,
Sabbath or
yeah.
Led Zeppelin backwards, it's satanic. Here is the other way around. There is a love triangle involved. There are the devil comes, and there's a zombie apocalypse which happens somewhere between this point and the end.
No question.
It all goes to hell quite literally. And the basically the hook of the movie is, will they be able to play the song backwards before the clock strikes 3 the next day? And that's how the rest
high
of the movie.
stakes, high
Yes.
stakes.
So Deathgasm it's a very funny movie.
Sounds great.
It has a great, if you are someone who listens to hard rock or heavy metal music, the soundtrack is pretty good. Check out the movie Deathgasm. You have to say it with feeling, guys. Deathgasm.
Wow.
Yes. So that's my recommendation.
Awesome. Thanks, Abbas, for that. I think I will check it out, actually. It
Yeah.
sounds pretty fun. So I have a TV show to recommend. So I want to recommend this show called Big Little Lies, which is an HBO show that ended about last week. It's actually a mini-series because it's like 7 episodes. But what's really great about it is an amazing star cast. They've got Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon, Shailene Woodley.
Wow.
They've got Laura Dern. They've got Adam Scott and Alexander Skarsgård. It's incredible. Like, it's packed with stars. You know, like when celebrities come down to do television, it's really good.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's really good.
This is like a who's who of Oscar nominees.
Exactly.
Winners
But you know, I feel like this show was not promoted enough because, again, it's a mini-series and it's based on a book.
Okay.
Based on a book of the same name, Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty, or it's Leanne. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. But it basically, on first view, comes across like a little bit of a trashy, white, rich moms who kind of have like gossip with each other kind of show.
Okay.
But what the great thing about it is that it's completely that and more.
Okay.
It starts out with the first episode. You know, somebody's been murdered in school on trivia night.
Wow,
Okay,
okay.
somebody's been murdered.
On
We don't know.
trivia night.
Yeah. So it's based in California, in like this rich space with all these white women who are like really pretty, you know, obviously, and have amazing balconies that look out at the ocean,
Right.
and you know, really Instagram-worthy lives.
Right.
And then all of the mothers have the thing in common is that all their kids go to the same school.
Okay.
They're starting first grade in school.
Right.
And then basically there's a trivia night in school and somebody ends up dead on the first episode. The 7 episodes, till the last episode, you don't know who's killed because you're still trying to follow that mystery because they're building backwards.
You don't know
from
who's
that.
killed?
Yeah, we don't know who's killed.
Okay. Like, forget finding the killer.
Yeah,
just
we don't know who's
died.
killed. We don't know who's
Okay.
killed till the last episode. And the idea is that all of the, you know, again, happy people who appear to be happy families, look to be successful, obviously hiding deep, dark secrets that are almost awful, but they cannot tell people, they cannot tell their friends because they've built this, this vision and this kind of like this facade of who they are and what their lives are like. It tackles domestic violence, rape, adultery, a lot of stuff, and really well. Sometimes I forget how good Nicole Kidman is as an
Right.
actress because she is spectacular on this show. What's really nice also is that some of the the way the mystery goes through is that it's a Greek chorus where everybody in school, the people all the parents who were there on trivia night are being talked to, like the cops are talking to them. So there's like each episode kind of starts with all of these voices, these parents just bitching about other parents.
Okay.
So they're kind of setting up that, okay, it could be Reese, it could be her, and they're like, oh, we don't know who this girl is. Oh, that one, she totally has a drinking problem. So it's a lot of the city gossip. But again, under it is like, it's a really good murder mystery, and it has just genuinely good acting from all around. Like, Adam Scott is so good, even with small roles.
Right.
Whereas the 3 women, of course, the leads. And most of the show is them and their children and what their children go through in school and how the mother's personal politics affects the children and how, you can't play with that kid because I hate her mom, and you can't fraternize with these children, and that one's, that kid is a bully to that kid, so you can't talk to these kids.
Right.
That kind of stuff. But it is really, really good. The thing about it is because it's only 7 episodes, it's not... Well, the plot is really heavy because it's already like this is a
Right.
murder mystery.
Yeah.
But I found that they really dove into the character plots really well, so that within the first, say, 3-4 episodes, you try to get like you're understanding who Reese Witherspoon is as a person, like as a character.
Right.
They really go deep into like their history and what they are, what makes them who they are, and that kind of stuff, which I really enjoyed. And it's only 7 episodes. It's a mini series available on Hotstar.
Oh, okay.
It's really good, called Big Little Lies. It's just for this star cast put together is spectacular.
How long is each episode?
40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this long weekend, guys, check it out. Big Little Lies.
Boom.
All right,
All right.
so that's a good round of recommendations, guys. All right, we're going to take a break right now, and we're going to continue this exciting conversation after the break.
Hello listeners, my name is Munaf Kapadia.
And I am Nabil Merchant. We are the co-hosts of the show My Neighbor Zuckerberg.
On this show, we invite ordinary people who have extraordinary stories to share.
Tales of creativity, persistence and struggle. We call them entrepreneurs.
Tune in every Monday to listen to their journeys. We are available on iTunes, Audio Boom and the IVM Podcast app.
Now, the big question. So, sometimes when we have foreigner friends who come down and want to watch a Bollywood movie, and have specifications of of course you got to sit with them and explain it to them. So remember that you're involved in this viewing.
Okay.
What do you recommend? What do you recommend that foreigners who want to watch or get a taste of Bollywood? What should they watch? What do you usually recommend to your white friends when they want to sample some Bollywood song and dance, y'all?
In terms of music, I don't know, but definitely a film that I would recommend, which I catch a lot of flack for, because I know most of the people that I know hate this film, but it's Om Shanti Om, man. Om Shanti Om would be the film I would recommend to anybody who wants to watch a Bollywood film. Anybody. Because it's a good script. And
I'll come to all of those in a moment.
It is very self-aware, and it serves and I think it's very because one of the biggest debates I've had about the film is whether the comedy is intentional, whether if you watch it ironically, whether you can enjoy it, or if you watch it straight, whether either.
I agree. It's obviously a parody, though.
Yeah.
They take all the movie tropes that are supposed to be stupid things in Bollywood and then twist them.
Exactly.
Right?
So the parody, it's very self-aware. It's intentional. It's not just simply just because you can watch it ironically. It's good.
I like the idea of showing your foreign friends Om Shanti Om, because it gives them that Bollywood sense, which is the song and dance and the running around trees kind of tropes.
Yeah.
But it also is like a commentary on Bollywood itself.
And
which is my main problem is a bit of a harsh word.
Okay.
My point of view. Okay, before I go in,
here comes, man, here comes.
Before I go, I like Om Shanti Om. It's not a bad film. But like both of you just mentioned, and this is on record, it's being recorded.
Yes.
You both said it's a parody of every Bollywood trope that we
it's a
had seen up.
it's a meta commentary.
It's partly a parody.
Now it's a celebration.
And
Okay.
Dude,
it's
there's
a
a
meta
whole
commentary.
It's a whole
My
party
point-
scene is there, man, where they're all in the same party scene.
All right. Let Abbas make his
My
point.
point will still stand if you make it from a parody to a celebration also. So then this white friend of yours, who let's assume has a very vague idea of what Bollywood is, will he get those that we are parodying something? Will he or she get that no, they are being over the top? That's not how it goes. Oh, here's this Filmfare Award scene. Is that how really Filmfare Awards go?
What is that you want to tell them? Like, do you want to show them what they came to, like the essence of Bollywood, which is song and dance, and also look, we can laugh at ourselves? Or do you want to show them, here's our best stuff we've done that nobody in India really watches?
Okay, let me tell you another.
The second one. For me personally, it's the second because I'll tell you why. So Anurag Kashyap was at Cannes a couple of years ago, and I don't agree with everything Anurag Kashyap says, but he said one thing in an interview which was quite poignant. He said, the world over, especially in Hollywood, they consider Bollywood as the comic relief. Oh, they don't do serious dramatic stuff, or they don't do stuff that's relevant. That's all song and dance. It's all happy-go-lucky kind of, which by and large is true. But then, if I'm showing a film to a friend of mine who hasn't seen Bollywood much, or thinks that Bollywood films are light-hearted, I'd show them something where I'll be like, no, see, this is also relevant. We also make films about young people who would be as relevant to a 25-year-old in Bombay as it would be to a 25-year-old in New York City. Either you do that, or you show them the movie which will be like, hey, here are colors, we play Holi and Diwali and we deck up in marriages.
Okay, but we do that.
Yes, we do.
Okay, do you think Om Shanti Om represents a majority of the Bollywood film industry?
For Indians, yes.
Yeah, for Indians, obviously.
So, what more introduction do you want to give to a foreigner, man? What is not majority?
You want to put your, like, you want to impress them and put your best foot forward to these white people instead of
Om
who you
Shanti Om
are.
is not a best foot forward. I'm sorry.
I'm saying the other way around. I'm saying you want to put, like, look at our indie cinema, look at Masan and look at Udaan versus look at who we really are, which is Om Shanti Om, which is the #1 hit movie at some point.
Man.
Bollywood, think Masan is also us. Masan is also us. Udaan is also us.
Of course. I'm not saying The Godfather and Fast and the Furious are also them. But that's not the point.
Look, man,
I'm saying,
what type of film do people
for?
come to the cinema and will be cheering in the cinema?
No, wait, I'm still stuck. Now I'm just imagining if I had never seen a Hollywood movie, I'd rather see The Godfather as my first Hollywood movie and not Fast and Furious.
Yeah, but the thing is, what is it that they're coming for to see Bollywood movies? Like, what do they want to see?
It's about what you want to show them. They want to come see song and dance. Show them something else.
Okay,
Bamboozle them.
Oh, okay. So I asked a friend of mine who lives in London, and I was like, "What do you show people when white people ask you?" And he said Dev D, because his point is, at least it brings some amount of, she's running in the field and some amount of Indianness.
Yes.
But also like good music and good graphics and stuff, which I think is a fair point.
There's
Yes,
good music in
Dev D
Om
is a good
Shanti.
choice.
There is great choreography in Om Shanti Om, okay? Man, you know Deepika's opening song? You remember her opening
Yeah,
song?
I love that. Great editing in that song,
Great
man.
editing, and they have
Oh my
those bits
God.
where they have, I think, some guys from the 60s or
Yeah,
70s
Jitendra's
composed
in
it.
it and a bunch of other...
There's like a whole,
70s actually.
there's
Yeah.
a bit where they're dancing and playing tennis at the same
Badminton,
time.
yeah.
So see,
How is it not so much fun, dude?
It
How
is
is it
fun.
not something you want to
Josh.
show foreigners, man?
It is fun.
Yeah.
Because we have seen those white pant tennis playing since our childhood.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's saying it's
At some-
contextual to us.
So for that it is context, but for someone else they'll see it like that. They will enjoy it for the same reason.
No, how will they
In Om
enjoy
Shanti
it?
Om context, why not?
No, they won't. They don't know the context.
You
They
think
just
they
like-
look down upon
Also,
the tennis playing
do you think
choreography?
you have to show them a serious movie to show that we're
No.
serious?
Not at all.
So then
No,
what's
I won't.
another option you would recommend? Opposite Om Shanti Om, but not as serious as a Masan.
Yeah,
Which
the-
of course I think Masan is a great movie to show.
Yeah.
But not that many people in India watched it.
That's okay, but still, I would want to watch. Hey, it won at Cannes. Okay,
You are flying,
Exactly.
you are flying the flag for the
It's-
underground. I
no,
can feel
so,
it.
but Masan is not my choice. My
Okay.
choice is something else, which again, this might be contradicting
Just
what I just
tell
said.
us.
Mr. India. I would show them Mr. India from 1987 because it is also that is also a parody. Mogambo is what? It's a
Of course,
parody
of
on
course.
I haven't
every
seen it, so I
over
can't.
the top. You haven't seen Mr. India?
You should.
Why are you on IVM?
No, I agree. Mr. India is a good choice too.
Yes.
But isn't it kind of old school to show them like this was our last great sci-fi movie we made?
It's probably our only great at least Hindi. I won't comment on Tamil, Telugu.
Do you guys not
Bengali.
want to show people some
Enderan, dude.
cool stuff
see.
like like cool youths movies like your Dil
Like
Chahta Hai of the
what?
world?
So I thought. So I was thinking about this. Wouldn't Wake Up Sid be a good choice too?
No,
it
Wake Up
has so
Sid is
many
not a
cool
great
youths,
choice.
guys.
Oh, Wake
cool
Up Sid
youths.
is... Look, I love Wake Up Sid. I watch it many times, but really there's no story. He just wakes up from nothingness. It's not like he's even that poor. Somebody just gives him a house.
It's a coming of age story, Sharanya.
But there's like literally no pain. The pain is that he was broke for a few days where he couldn't afford to make lunch
See, so now
because his credit card was cancelled.
you're saying. So you mean to say we only need to show them plot-heavy movies because there's so much plot in Om Shanti Om. See, that's another
But
thing.
the
Because
plot is brilliant.
No, it's not.
It is f***ing brilliant, dude. The intermission is the perfect half between the two lives, okay?
Wow,
So
that
you
was
guys-
some really profound thing you just
'cause
said.
I
intermission,
agree
dude.
with this.
Intermission
Om
is
Shanti Om.
one of the most bugging things about Hindi films because suddenly the second half goes all over the place, man. I've usually, for some films, man, I can enjoy the first half a lot and then the second half they just lose the
I
thread
think in
altogether.
Bollywood is the only place where we actually say this first half and second half of a movie.
Yeah, because we have the interval.
Yeah,
No other
nobody
movie
else has this
interval.
division of a movie.
And
It's
man,
one
that
thing.
was one film where because you cannot expect what is going to happen in the second half of that film, and it is brilliant.
Because they both die and then they are both
yeah,
reincarnated.
and then there's all that parody stuff with the awards and all
So
that
then show
stuff.
them Karan Arjun if reincarnation is so
Not
so
real.
precious.
Arey,
to you.
it's a
No,
script
but it's a
device,
parody,
Baba.
na, he's
But I
saying.
come
It's
back
a
to
script.
His point is that
It's a
we don't
good
show them real
script
reincarnation.
also.
If you show them
It doesn't
reincarnation, then obviously a
drag.
joke.
It doesn't drag.
I think, what about regular hit movies, guys, like Lagan and Gangs of Wasseypur?
Lagan, dude, is like 3/4 cricket match. And that film
What?
came out in 2001, and then 2003 we had that World Cup final against Australia and we lost. So the real cricket match didn't go down so
This
well.
has become a TFG sports
Also, I do
podcast.
agree that if it's a sport you're trying to explain to people, because not that many people watch cricket, especially depending on which country these white people are from, obviously.
So, but then why do you think Lagan was nominated for an Oscar? There was an Academy of American people who saw it. Because the stakes, it's about the stakes. It's not about understanding the game. And the game is pretty much explained in the movie. The Elizabeth explains with the umbrella. 11 prayers.
Yeah.
So, Lagan is also a good choice. I wouldn't...
How about old school Sholay, guys?
Sholay, I don't know.
I think that's actually really plot heavy. That's
I'm very
complicated.
divided about that because
So-
that film is really long.
Yeah, it is very
It is long, and I also have another. I was also thinking about this. So Sholay, Mughal-e-Azam, these films, so much of the flavor and success of that comes from the language. It's the dialogues and the same thing in subtitles
translation.
or in translation. I mean, Kitne Aadmi The does not translate with the same fierceness if you explain it to someone. So I don't know if that would still hold up if the language question comes in. So yes, but Om Shanti Om
is digestible. Very good intro.
Now you've kind of come down one rung from saying it's the best movie you've come to it's digestible.
You're saying plot heavy. I'm saying it is plot heavy, but it's not plot heavy that it's impenetrable, man. That is my point of saying it's digestible.
And not impenetrable to someone who's never seen a Bollywood movie?
Who won't? So, like, you take something like Sholay. Sholay, I've watched it recently, and it's very tiring to watch, man. So, is there some plot heavy movies that get very tiring, but Om Shanti Om is not tiring, is my point. It won't put people off.
It's a popcorn movie also.
Sure it is, and I like it.
I feel like we'll never get to the end of this.
So is Mr. India, Sharan.
Sure.
It's like the
I agree with all your
popcorn
choices,
movie.
guys.
We never came to know what your choice was.
Oh, I have no white friends. All right, let's wrap up this episode.
Sure.
Please
Let's just
tell us.
Agree to disagree.
Please tell us what you recommend to foreigners who want to, watch Bollywood movies. Let us know. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We are IVM Podcasts. We'll be back next Wednesday, man. We'll try and get a different debate going.
Yeah.
All right. Every Wednesday, 5 p.m. we are live on Facebook. And, of course, you can find the edited episode every Monday on your podcasting apps, iTunes, Audio Boom, the IVM Podcast app. Check it out, guys. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out
IVM Podcasts
to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.